Today, I'm taking a look at a chest heart rate monitor, the Wahoo Tickr. 6.43 miles, 10 minutes, 16 seconds per mile today, 139 beats per minute on average for my run commute home, running today with the Wahoo Tickr and pairing it with my Polar Vantage V. Now, before I get to my detailed thoughts about the Wahoo Tickr, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a product that I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me. No one's paying me to make this video or to use this heart rate monitor, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of this footage before you guys get to see this video on YouTube. Now, with the disclosures out of the way, let's take a look at the Wahoo Tickr. Now, this is one of the cheapest heart rate monitors that I've ever been able to find out on the market. And the only reason I picked it up is because my regular heart rate monitor that I've been running with, I left at my in-laws' house over the Thanksgiving holiday, so I needed a replacement. And so I picked up the Wahoo Tickr because a lot of you guys have been telling me that you're running with it and that you've been getting your results, and I just wanted to make sure that I could do the same thing. So in terms of how this works, it's a chest heart rate monitor. There are sensors on the strap that will use conduction and pick up the electrical signal coming through your chest to determine what your heart rate is. This one connects a little bit differently in terms of most of the time it's like there's a strap and the heart rate sensor like connects to the strap. This is like the buckle for the strap, so it works a little bit differently in terms of the way this one works together. It's fine though. It's a heart rate monitor. The chest strap is a little bit wider in terms of like thickness than other ones that I've worked with before, and this sensor seems pretty big too, so it's a little bit on the bulky side, I think, although relatively ultimately it's a pretty slim device. For me, once I put it on, I kind of know it's there, but it doesn't ever get in the way. And then the way that I've been using it to test is Wahoo has an app that you can use, and it picks up Wahoo makes a whole bunch of different sensors, and it can pick up whatever sensors it has. And so I use the app to record data to this device for most of my testing. And then when you're using the app, then it uses your phone's GPS to give you pace and distance data, and also to give you a GPS tracing afterwards. Then when you're done with the run, you get really nice maps, you get nice metrics. It looks really nice in terms of your pace, your heart rate. You can even set and you can configure different heart rate zones based on your resting and max heart rates. So you can set everything up. It's really highly configurable. It all looks really nice. Now, I use the app to record the data from the Wahoo Tickr. And as a comparison point, I would have loved to be able to compare two chest heart rate monitors at the same time. I don't know that that's possible. So instead, the other device that I had was the Polar OH1, which is an optical heart rate sensor that goes on your forearm or on your upper arm. That's how I did the testing. And then today's run, I just connected this directly to my watch to make sure that worked out fine. And it seemed to work out just fine. The Polar Vantage V picked it up and was able to record data that way. So in terms of the testing, I'll show you data. I use DC Rainmaker's Analyzer tool, which is a fantastic tool to use, by the way, to compare. I was able to export all the data from the Wahoo Tickr and also from the Polar device. And I used 3 different runs, the 5th, the 7th, and 9th of December. One was just my regular run commute. On the 7th, I had like a 3-hour run, so a not much longer activity. And on the 9th, I had a treadmill run in there. And so I just wanted to compare 3 different types of situations. In all 3 situations, the 2 devices were very close together. People say that on an optical device, there's a little bit of a lag in terms of picking up changes in heart rate. And it looks like the data is offset just a little bit, which is consistent with that notion. The other thing that I did notice, though, is that I'm getting what I will call a cold spike. And that is like somewhere in like the first mile or so, right around like mile 1 to mile 1.5. The heart rate, chest heart rate monitor will have like a giant spike in the heart rate, and that doesn't seem to, at least in my experience, feel like it's right. And comparing it to the Polar OH1, it doesn't seem like it's right. And what I think is that these devices need some level of moisture in order to be able to conduct the signal correctly. And I think when it's really cold, your skin is like tightening up. Everything's kind of like not shriveling, that's not the right word, but everything's tensing up because it's cold outside. And I think that the heart rate signal just doesn't conduct very well, at least in terms of what this is able to pick up. I do use conductive gel, which is just, I don't know what it is, but you can apply it onto the sensor parts, and that's worked really well for me for the time that I've been using the chest heart rate monitors, either this one or the Sunto one that I normally run in. But still, that first like mile, that warm up time, the heart rate just kind of spikes, and it only happens on the chest heart rate monitor and only when it's cold. For example, if you look at the tracings from the treadmill run, I didn't have that at all. So I definitely think that that's kind of like a cold effect that I'm experiencing. But other than that, it looks like this heart rate monitor works really well. It's really cheap. It's like a fraction of the price of some of the other ones that are out there. If you're just looking for a chest heart rate monitor that works, this one's a little bit on the big side, but definitely works. I can certainly recommend it based on my testing. The only other thing that I think is weird is that I had some problems with the app, the Wahoo Tickr app. I think most of you probably won't be using the app. Most of you will probably be pairing this with your GPS watch or with another app on your phone like Strava, and I think you can do that just fine. But when I tried to use the Wahoo Tickr app, it does collect all the data within the app itself, but it also has the ability to sync with lots of other services like Strava, and also listed is Nike Plus. And so I thought that was interesting because I was like, Nike's been like closing off its ecosystem, not letting other apps really push to it all that much. As far as I can tell, Garmin is like the only one left that will still do it. I think all my Polar activities are also getting pushed to it as well. And so like those are like the two ways that I think you can do it. Other than that, like all the other, which is weird, the iPhone apps, they won't push to Nike directly. You have to like manually enter data. It's really annoying. I was getting kind of excited because I thought maybe this was doing it too, but I logged in my credentials, tried to upload an activity, and I got an error. The strange thing is though, I did it with Strava and I couldn't, and it looked like it had done it correctly, but I couldn't see it. Maybe I was just being too impatient and it wasn't like refreshing fast enough because I was uploading an activity from a couple weeks ago now. Or I guess what's today? Yeah, like 12 days ago. And so I don't know if it just takes a while to kind of get put back in the queue, but I couldn't see my December 5th activity from the Wahoo Tickr in Strava. So I'm not sure that that works all that well either. Ultimately, I don't think it's gonna be a huge deal for most of you because most of you are going to be using this and pairing it to some other device and not using necessarily the Wahoo app. So that was the only one hiccup, and otherwise pretty great performance of this device. It uses a battery, like a watch battery, which you can replace, which is fine. A lot of other heart rate monitors work that way as well. So if you have any more comments or questions about the Wahoo Tickr, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below. I'd love to talk to you guys about it more down there. Before I go, I want to remind you guys about the charity runner for this week. This week it's Melissa Sawyer, who's going to be running the Museum of Aviation half marathon coming up in January, and she's going to do it to raise money for the Epilepsy Foundation. I was happy to donate $7 to Melissa's fundraising efforts, and I'll post a link in the description in case you'd like to learn more about the Epilepsy Foundation or the reason why Melissa's running. It's a very touching story. That's all I have for today. Everybody, thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?